We are live. What's up, my friends? Abby here, and welcome to our first Write With Me live stream of Novel November 2025. I'm so glad you guys are here for this. I'm really excited to dive into this first Write With Me live stream of the month. Some of you are participating in Novel November. Some of you probably never heard of it and are wondering what I'm talking about. It is basically like the new and improved NaNoWriMo because NaNoWriMo is dead, but Novel November is here. It is a brand new writing challenge that is brought to you by Pro Writing Aid, and I'm super excited to be partnering with them on this writing challenge to be bringing you guys some special Q&As and Write With Me live streams, not just here on my channel, but also within the Pro Writing Aid Novel November community. So anyway, that aside, whether you're participating in Novel November or you are just here on another day in your writing life, I'm really glad that you've joined this live stream today. So welcome, everyone. Secondly, I must apologize for the noise outside. We have some workers in the yard today, and yeah, they picked the absolute worst time to show up and do that. I was just about to set up the live stream. I'm like, oh dear. This is going to be a little bit noisy, but hopefully it won't last too long. Feel free to mute this live stream when we were doing the sprints if it's too obnoxious. I have no idea how much you can hear that, but hopefully it is not too loud. So first things first, type in the chat. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Tell me what you are working on this month. Are you working on a new project for Novel November? If so, you are like 5 days into this challenge. And this is usually a fun time. It's usually like when you have the most inspiration and excitement for your project. And it's a great moment. It really is. We haven't reached the mid-draft slump yet, which I'm going to talk more about later in this live stream. So this is kind of like the honeymoon period. And hopefully you're feeling that way about your book. Hopefully you're feeling very excited about this new project. So the way these live streams work is we are going to write together 25-minute sprints writing and then 5-minute breaks in between to chat about our books and answer some questions that come up in the chat. And it's just a fun, super chill time. So if you're up for that, then that's what we're doing right here, right now. If you are in my Discord, I'm also going to run some sprints there. If you're not in my Discord, but you love writing with the community, you definitely love the Discord. So you can check that out by joining my Patreon at any level, and the link to that is below this video. Also, the link to join Novel November is below this live stream as well. So if you haven't joined Novel November, there's still time to do that. I know we're 5 days in, but you can still join. So you can click the link below and join that if you want to get in on the special events that I'm going to be doing over on the Pro Writing Aid interface with Novel November. But if you're in Discord, you can hop over there right now and join the sprint that I just created. Otherwise, feel free to just stay here on this live stream, because we're going to be sprinting together here and sharing our word count and all of that good stuff. So I have been writing this morning. I have, let's see, 2,828 words so far. So I'm going to join with that. Okay. Awesome. I'm so glad you all are here. Wonderful. So exciting. Thank you for the super chat from Sam I Am. Said, happy November. I'm skipping novel writing month again this year, but really wish everyone the best of luck. I'll be working in the background. Well, I'm so glad you're here anyway. Thank you so much for the super chat. Another super chat came in earlier from PH Philip. Thank you so much. Hi, Abby. Firstly, thanks for doing these live streams. Secondly, how would you organize and plan large-scale rewrites, such as a key piece of lore integral to the MC's journey? Wow, a tree just came down outside. That was intentional, I hope. Okay, sorry, your question. So organizing large-scale rewrites. I don't want to get too long-winded because we're about to start our first sprint. But large-scale rewrites, I would approach that with like first kind of writing down my large-scale like scope of what I want to change with this story, and from more of a developmental standpoint. So starting by looking at, what do I love about this book? What do I not love about this book? Where do I feel I could improve things? That's how I always approach my large-scale rewrites. And usually I can approach it with a better mindset if I take some time away from the book for a while and give myself that distance. So that would be my first piece of advice for that. But I do have a whole video on rewriting your messy first draft that I highly recommend checking out. Okay, our sprint is beginning. I have to hit the timer, and we have to get into this. I'm going to set my timer as well on my phone so that we can hear it ring. Hopefully, we can hear it ring over this noise of this chainsaw. Okay. Timers are going. Set your own timer if you prefer, or just follow along with mine. And let's get into the first sprint. Just a heads up, I may mute the live stream because I feel like it's going to be really obnoxious to listen to that. So I'll mute it when it's really loud, and I'll take the mute off when it's quiet again. Okay, just so you know, that's what's happening. Okay, sprint number 1 is done. Great job, guys. Let me know how this sprint went. So type in the chat and share your word count if you desire, or just let me know how it went. Hopefully that was a good sprint for you. It was really good for me. I almost finished this chapter. I'm very close to the end. It's like over 3,000 words, so I'm trying to wrap it up. Let's see, 3109. It's my ending. Okay, sweet. So hopefully that went well for you. I'm gonna grab a few super chats as we go into our break, and we're gonna get into our next one. Okay, let's see here. Sam I am, thank you so much for the super chat. You said, okay, I want these 3 secrets. Are these for your novel or nonfiction? Regardless, I still want secrets. So if you guys didn't see, I have a little goal up there for the super chats today. If we get 10 super chats over $5 or more for each super chat, I will reveal 3 secrets about my current work in progress, which is a fiction project, by the way. It is a contemporary romance that I started writing, I think, the last week of September. So I've been writing it for like 6 weeks now, pretty much, and I'm really in love with it. And I'm not going to say anything about it other than that. And we'll see if we reach our goal today, and then I will share 3 secrets from it. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. Next one is from Amber. I'm currently editing my first novel. Some days are great and others are overwhelming. How do you cope with imposter syndrome on difficult days? That is a really good question, Amber, and thank you so much for the super chat. It's definitely very overwhelming to edit a novel, especially your first novel, but rest assured that it only gets easier from here. Like, you've already done the hardest part by sitting there and writing the first draft. If it's a first draft, maybe it's even a second draft. But creating your first novel is no small thing, and that is amazing. You should be super proud of yourself. But when you get overwhelmed, what I find is helpful for me and has helped me in the past with getting overwhelmed with editing is just trying to take it slow and not rush myself, and to also like remember that we're all imposters in a way. You know, imposter syndrome is kind of just this feeling you have when you feel like you're the only one who feels like this, or feels unqualified to be doing this, or feels like maybe you're not good enough at it, when it's the reality is that so many writers feel that way. Many writers feel that way. And so we're either all imposters or none of us are imposters and we just think we're imposters. So for me, what has helped me a lot to cope with and like get past imposter syndrome is realizing that everybody's experiencing these feelings too. And none of us are really imposters. None of us are qualified necessarily to do what we're doing, but we're all doing it anyway. So it's like, you know, think of one of your favorite authors and then imagine they felt imposter syndrome. You'd be like, that's ridiculous. You're so great at what you're doing. So trying to see it from that perspective, I think, can help to bring your clarity back. Let's see, a few more questions here. Let's see. Majutba, oh, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, asked, do you need Pro Writing Aid to join Novel November? No, you don't need to buy Pro Writing Aid to join Novel November. It's a free thing. It is a free challenge that anybody can participate in. All you have to do is click the link below this video and join with the Novel November link that will take you right into the Novel November dashboard. And it's kind of separate from Pro Writing Aid in that you don't have to buy the software in order to participate in it. So anyone can join it. Richard Branowski gave a super chat. Thank you so much. You're getting your next book professionally published. What advice do you have about getting an agent? What was the hardest part? Yes, so my new nonfiction book that's coming out next August, Make Your Story Matter, is being published by Benbella Books. And it was a really wonderful process working with an agent to get that publishing deal. My advice for getting a literary agent, I kind of want to like make a whole video about this because it's quite an involved process, but what helped me was to really narrow my focus of what I wanted in an agent. So a lot of agents will only work on specific genres, and that can be a really good thing if they specialize in that genre. And my best tools for doing this was Query Tracker was my favorite website for doing the whole literary agenting process and finding an agent, which really breaks down every agent by like what books they represent, what genres they represent, and some of their clients, and just connects you with a lot of good information. So Query Tracker is a must-have. And also Publishers Marketplace, which allows you to go and see these agents that you're looking at maybe sending a query letter to, and seeing like some of their past history, what books have they worked on, who are some of their clients, and what success record do they have. So those two resources were really helpful for me, and I would start with that. But I really want to make a whole video about that, because I would say the hardest part was not necessarily getting an agent, but making sure that my book proposal was really strong before I even started sending to agents, in my query letter. So that'll be different if you're doing fiction or nonfiction, but it's good to have all your ducks in a row there. Let's see. Fourth Shy Girl gave a super chat. Thank you so much. What's the best way to blend two outlines when the main characters share similar interests? Really good question. And this can be a fun challenge, actually, because if your characters share similar interests or they have similar conflict, you kind of show how there's like two sides of the same coin there. And you can show how they deal with conflict differently, even if they're very similar, right? So if you have two separate characters on two separate journeys, but they're kind of experiencing a lot of the same things or a lot of the same conflict, finding those moments where they can diverge and take different paths and make different choices can show us an interesting insight into the human experience, right? And show us how different people make different decisions, even if they are similar or experiencing similar conflicts. And then you can kind of branch out the story from there and take all different directions with it and see how that changes the course of things for them. Hopefully that answers your question, but I think there's many different ways to do that, and it really depends on your story. But starting with asking yourself what is different about these two characters and how they handle conflict, how they handle the situations that the plot throws at them, and how their belief system come into that as well, because their belief systems will be the determining factor of that. Okay, let's get into our next sprint. I know a few more super chats came in, but I'm going to grab them in the next break because I don't want to slow our sprinting down too much. So I'm going to start the next sprint, and then I'm going to answer those other questions in the next break. So I'm going to set that up in Discord and set my timer again. So feel free to join in Discord if you're over there. If not, just stay here on the live stream, and I'm going to try to finish this chapter. Okay. 2 is done. Great job, guys. And yay, we just hit our goal. Thank you guys so much. Awesome. We hit our super chat goal. And I was like one line away from finishing my chapter. It's okay. I'll finish it in the next one. 3395. No word count. Sweet. So type in the chat. Tell me how it went. I'm going to answer these super chats. And then I will tell you the 3 secrets about my work in progress. Okay. So first super chat is from Fourth Shy Girl. What's the best way to blend 2 outlines? Oh, I'm sorry, I already got that one. First one is from Mallory. How do you gather a small group of writing friends that can support each other? I need more support in my writing life, but writers are busy people. That's very true. And it's hard to find writers because we're so reclusive and we just hang out online usually. But I would say, shameless plug, best way to find fellow writers is in this amazing community that you're already in. And through the Discord community, which is where we all hang out on a regular basis. We do writing sprints together. We share our work. We talk about brainstorming, all sorts of fun stuff in the Discord. So I think you'd really love it. You can join that at any level on my Patreon. And the link to that is below this live stream. So if you're interested, I would recommend checking that out. And even just join it for a month, see how you like it, see if you can connect with some writers and kind of create a little small writing group there. Because I know a lot of writers in that group who have done that. Like they've just made some friends that they've then become really close with, and now they have like their own little like private writing groups out of that. So a lot of great connections can be made from that. But also beyond that, I would say like just joining more writing groups online in general, or even going to a writing conference can be a great way to meet other writers as well. But the Discord is definitely a great place to start. Sam, I am giving another super chat. Thank you so much. So many super chats. We are getting these secrets in no time. Yay, let's go. Thank you. Just Jeffrey gave a super chat. Thank you so much. And said, just started writing a new first draft, trying to figure out a sweet spot for descriptions aren't, so they're not like white room coded, but also not too overwhelming. It can be fixed in the edits, but any tips for drafting? Really good question. I think that for myself, what I try to do is I kind of over describe in the first draft, and then in edits, I go back and kind of trim it down a little bit. Because in the first draft, it's easier for me to kind of go overboard with descriptions. And then later, once I have some distance from the book, I can see like, okay, that's too much. That's too wordy. That needs to come out. Whereas if you do it the other way around, it can sometimes be harder to like get back into the frame of mind of that scene. For me anyway, it's a little bit more difficult to add to something, but it's easier to take away from it. So I like to kind of overwrite the first draft and then trim away what I don't need, the extra fluff. But as far as like overthinking it, just try to like write what you feel. And in the case of descriptions, I know that's kind of vague advice, but in the case of descriptions, I try to go by like the 3 S's rule is what I call it. So 1 sight, 1 sound, 1 smell. When you enter a new location, if you can give me one of those things, one of each of those things, that like immediately grounds me in the scene without a lot of description. Like that can all be accomplished in 1 sentence. So it's not so much about like painting an entire picture. It's not just about what it looks like. It's also about what it sounds like, what it smells like. And if you give us like quickly 1 sight, 1 sound, 1 smell, it can ground the reader in a scene really quickly without too much description. Dragon Keeper Ali asked, hello, Abby, when you first wrote your published books, did you have a strong feeling those are the books you'd publish? Thank you for the super chat. And yes, I did, especially when I wrote 100 Days of Sunlight. That was the first book I published. And when I wrote that, I'm like, I feel so strongly that this book is really, really good. And I think you'll have that sense of confidence when you write something that you're like, okay, it's go time. I want to publish this. It will feel like you will have that soaring sense of confidence with it. So I think it's something that you know, and you know it when you feel it. It's hard to describe that feeling. Awesome Sauce gave a super chat and said, do you have opinions on writing fast-paced thriller novels that take place over a few days or so? I think that can definitely work. And I think it's really impressive when it does and when a writer can pull that off. And really, like I say with writing, I talk about this with writing romance and making that timeline feel believable if it's only over a few days, having 2 characters fall in love. It's really about emotional progression, right? It's about taking these characters on an internal journey, not so much an external journey. So we can still feel like we've been on this, roller coaster ride with these characters, even if it only happened over the course of a few days. So I think that is absolutely doable, and it can be awesome. And if you're like not sure how to execute it or what that would look like in action, then maybe find some books that do it well, that you could read and kind of experience what that timeline feels like, just going through those few days, but having the emotional journey still. So you have the internal conflict side of things. Okay, last super chat here. Thank you so much to Joey Stick. Hi, Abby. Is it a good idea to write a prologue for my novel, my first one, and share it if I'm doing good? Or is it better to write a story and then look for opinions, and not get distracted? So I think what you're asking is about like a novel versus like more of a shorter story. Is kind of how I'm understanding that question. Or for writing a prologue. As far as prologues go, a prologue you can think of like chapter 1. Okay, it's the first thing that somebody's going to read when they open your book. Most of the time we don't skip prologues if they're in fiction. Sometimes you skip an introduction if it's in a nonfiction book because you feel like, maybe I don't need that. Like, I don't recommend doing that, but I have done it in the past. But with a prologue in a fiction book, you kind of never usually skip it. It's necessary. So you don't even have to think of it like a prologue. It's chapter 1. It's the first thing someone's going to see. So how are you going to hook them? And if you need help with that, definitely check out my video on how to write a good first chapter and a good first page. I have videos on both of those things. But as far as writing a novel versus a short story, if that is part of your question, I would say asking yourself, like, is this story, not like, am I a good enough writer to write a novel? That's not the question you want to ask yourself. You want to ask yourself, is this story a large-scale story big enough for a novel? Or is it more of like just a single event or a smaller scope story? So you can determine that a lot of times by asking yourself, do I want to write subplots? Do I want to write a larger cast of characters? Can I see this story happening and taking place over a longer period of time? Or is it just encapsulating a single incident or a single event or a single day? So all those questions can help you kind of determine whether it's good for a short story or good for a novel. But if you want to write the novel, write the novel. Like, don't let it hold you back, okay? Don't let any of that fear hold you back. And thank you also to Sam for giving another super chat at the end. I really appreciate that. Okay, I know we've gone really long on this break, but I promised you guys 3 secrets about my work in progress, so I'm going to share those now. So, okay, 3 secrets. Secret number 1 is that it is a grumpy sunshine romance, but it's grumpy guy, sunshine girl, which is unusual for me because usually I write the grumpy good girl, sunshine bad boy is like one of my favorite tropes. Not really like a true bad boy, but like the grumpy girl, the sunshine guy. That is usually what I gravitate towards. But this book, the male protagonist is definitely the grumpy one. And I love him so much. And it's funny because he's very unusual to like what I usually write. Second secret is that this book has more forced proximity in it than any romance I've ever written. I don't know if that's really a secret, but yeah, just the nature of the book creates so much forced proximity and I love it. I absolutely love it. And thirdly is that this book takes place in more locations than anything I've ever written before. So my characters are moving around a lot. They go to a lot of different places, and it has required a ton of research for me to research all of these different places, which are places in the real world. So I can't make anything up. I am having to like dig deep into research a bunch of different countries, and it's been really fun, really fascinating, very eye-opening. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Those are your 3 secrets. Okay, so hopefully that was worth it. Hopefully you guys are just as excited as I am to share this book with you one day. But, you know, if I don't write it, then it won't be done. So let's get back into our next writing sprint. I'm going to set one up in the Discord. And thank you guys so, so much for all the super chats. I so appreciate it. So much. You have no idea. All of your support goes directly to helping me keep this channel going and continuing to do these writing sprints ad-free and uninterrupted so that we can continue reaching our goals together. And I just so appreciate your support with that. Okay, so I'm like literally one line away from finishing this chapter. So I'm gonna just join the sprint with 0 words because I'm gonna start a new chapter in just a minute. But let's start our timers. We have 2 more sprints to go. Okay. So let's get in sprint number 3 and we will talk after. Sprint number 3 is done. Great job, guys. Right into the scene too. I was like so into it and I had to stop. But we have one more sprint to go. So let's do a quick break, answer a few questions, and then get back into that final sprint and finish strong. So tell me how that went. Let's see, I wrote 322 words. Okay. Sweet. Let's see if there's any super chats that came in. Cosmic Latte, thank you for the super chat. You asked, how do you ensure each of your characters have agency when balancing multiple arcs so each character doesn't overshadow each other? That's a really good question. I think for a book where you are, or a story where you're following like one main protagonist, it's okay for the main protagonist's arc to kind of overshadow the others because that is like the main attraction, right? But if you have a large cast story where you have multiple main characters or significant characters, or you have maybe dual point of views, then yeah, you want to find that balance for sure. And I think a good way to do this is to first obviously figure out their internal conflict, but also figure out how that internal conflict is going to determine the decisions they make throughout the story, because the plot may throw like, you know, different events at all of these characters, or it might throw the same event at all the characters, but they all respond to it differently based on their own internal conflict and their belief systems. So everybody responds to life differently, right? And that can make your story really interesting and help those balance, to help keep that balanced, keep those different character arcs balanced when you have different reactions happening for maybe the same events in the plot, right? So maybe all your characters are like, I don't know, stranded on a desert island or something, and they all have to navigate surviving that and navigate their own relationships with each other and their internal conflict in different ways based on their different personalities. And if you're doing dual points of view, like you're switching point of view, then yeah, you want to give each character, both characters, the same amount of screen time, so to speak, and look at maybe that 1,000-foot view of how do their stories interweave with each other. And can you make like a bullet point list of one character's plot, and then a bullet point list of the other character's plot, and then kind of blend the two together and see where those plots intersect and where they overlap, and where you maybe have to cut away from one character to see another character's journey progress. There's a lot of nuance there depending on what you're writing. But let's see. Thank you again to Sam I Am for another super chat. Hope I'm getting lunch and I'm struggling. Do I warm up an egg sandwich from earlier or make a small bowl of oatmeal? Yes, I only have breakfast options for lunch. I love that, honestly. I love breakfast, and I feel like I could eat breakfast all day. So I say, like, continue doing that. Do both. Any tips for writing flash fiction? Andrew Nation asks. Is the 3-act structure useful for this genre too? How to balance the number of characters, plot, and the depth of description in a limited word count? Flash fiction, I think, can be really helpful to get the creative juices flowing and to just like make you write recklessly. And it can be really fun to just see what happens when you just go into that process with no plan and no necessary outcome attached to it. And sometimes really good things can come out of it. Like I wrote a flash fiction short story that was like a while ago I wrote it, and it was like, so I was liking it so much that I decided to make it into a longer story, and then made it into a novel, and then made it into a 3-book series. So you guys have heard me mention that before. It's my historical mystery heist series. And I love how that series came out. But the first book started as just a flash fiction that I'm like, I just want to write this one scene. And yeah, it turned into a 3-book trilogy of just like absolute madness in the best possible way. So you never know. You never know what good might come out of that. I'd say just throw yourself into the process and see what happens. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Okay, one more question. I'm just going to grab before we get into our next sprint. How do I build internal conflict in the routing of my main character's life? I'm in the middle of my story right now, and I don't want to push to the next plot point. That question comes from Annalise. That is a really good question. And I think internal conflict is one of those things that when you set it up at the beginning, it kind of is like a self-driving car. It's like it takes the plot forward on its own. Yes, you are throwing events and external conflicts at your character, but if they are richly developed at the beginning, then you know how they're going to respond. You know how they're going to make decisions based on their beliefs. And then that becomes like the compass that you navigate the story with. So let that character have that internal compass and let them just navigate the events of the plot and set them loose. Don't overthink it too much. And you can always go back into your story and add more internal conflict later. If you're reading through it and you're like, oh, you know, their decision making feels kind of weak here, or I feel like there's not a lot of explanation as to why they do this thing, then you can always go in and add more of that later. So I would say for now, during the writing process, like try to just develop the character's conflict at the start and then like set them loose in the world of your story and see what happens. Hopefully that helps. Okay, last sprint, guys. I've been talking too long, but let's set up our final timer, 25 minutes, and let's see how much we can write in this last sprint. Good luck. Oh, thank you for letting me know that I'm muted. I forgot to unmute it. Sorry, guys. The lawnmowers are driving me crazy, so I didn't want you to have to put up with that too. But type in the chat. Tell me how that sprint went and how your whole session went. Hopefully it was good. Hopefully you got a lot written. I know I got a lot written today. I wrote about 2,700 words since I woke up this morning, not just in this session, but earlier as well. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm super glad that you guys had a good writing session too. It looks like you got a lot accomplished, so much productivity. It's amazing, and you should be super proud of yourselves for showing up and staying to the end of this live stream. As you know, as I've said before, we're going to do these live streams every week this month. So every Wednesday, we will be coming together at a different time so that all time zones can join. Different time each session to write together. So I hope to see you around. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss my future live streams. But thank you guys so much for joining me today and for all the super chats, all the support and love. And I really, really appreciate all of you guys being here and joining me for these writing sessions. Again, I'm going to be participating in some really special events for Pro Writing Aid's Novel November. So if you're not part of Novel November yet, join with the link below this live stream. You can get in on that. It's totally free. Anyone can join. And you don't have to buy Pro Writing Aid to get into the challenge. Anyone can join it. And this Friday at, I think it's 12. Let me just check. I want to be sure. This Friday at 1 o'clock. Eastern time. I'm going to be doing a special Q&A session with Novel November. So I will be doing a Q&A that you can ask me anything, and some of the questions have already been submitted. So if you're already in the Novel November community and you submitted questions for me, I might be answering your question, and we're going to answer a bunch of writing related questions and just have a really good time chatting about writing. And that's happening Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join that, make sure you sign up for Novel November with the link below. And otherwise, make sure you check out my Patreon to get in on the Discord community. If you like doing these writing sprints and connecting with other writers, I think you would love it there. You can join that by joining my Patreon at any level. The link for that is below as well. And if not, I will see you guys in the next writing sprint here on my channel. So make sure you stick around for that, and I will see you then. It was wonderful writing with you. Thanks for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day, my friend. Until next time, happy writing and rock on.